Walk on over to Walters tonight for an informal Nats Chat hangout from 5 p.m. until first pitch against the Orioles. Wear your shirt if it's warm enough. It's just across the street from the ballpark. No promises, but you might see one of your favorite hosts actually attend.
I'm excited to tell you about the designs Homage has cooked up for the 2025 MLB season. If you're as baseball obsessed as I am, you'll love the full roster of major league looks from Homage. Amazing comfort and deep cut designs that help fans show off passion for their favorite teams. Homage has a massive selection that tells the story of the greatest sport from its very beginnings. Deep logo history, coast-to-coast stadium tours, and the biggest players from every era. Legends never die at Homage. If you need your new shirt for going to a ball game, Homage has you covered with its most comfortable fan clothing, and it's available for fans of all ages. This year's collection hits dinger after dinger after tater. Fleece, tees, bottoms, and more. And don't forget to check out the new starter jacket lineup, an iconic dugout look you don't want to miss. Heroes get remembered, but legends never die, and these looks go long, period. Check out the Homage MLB collection to find your team's coolest gear.
Kramer to the belt, checks the runner. Here's the 1-0. Swing a long drive, right field, way back it goes. O'Neill watching, and it is long gone. That one clears the big wall and straightaway right field. A two-run shot for Nathaniel Lowe, and two batters in. The Nationals lead 2-0.
Here's the wind of the pitch. Swing by Crews and a drive to deep left center field. This is way back. Going, gone, goodbye. Into the Budweiser red seats in left center field. Bang! Zoom goes Dylan Crews with a long home run. A 429-foot shot. He crosses the plate with run number 6 with his third home run and 5th run batted in. It's the Nationals 6 and the Orioles nothing.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Jackson Holliday. Here comes Parker to the plate. Strike 3 called, ring him up on the slider at the belt. And for the first time in his big league career, Mitchell Parker has finished 8 innings. And oh, by the way, it's 8 shutout innings, allowing only 1 hit. And he's retired 17 batters in a row.
And welcome to Nats Chat, along with MASNsports.com Nationals insider Mark Zuckerman, who is at Nationals Park. I'm Al Galdi, host of the Al Galdi podcast. The Nats, over their doubleheader split at the Colorado Rockies on Easter Sunday, had 0 extra base hits. The Nats on Tuesday evening totaled a whopping 10 extra base hits. It was that kind of night, a 7-0 win over the Orioles at Nationals Park in Game 1 of a 3-game series as the 2025 Battle of the Beltways is underway. This off the big announcement regarding the Nats and Does. MASN on Monday morning announcing the birth of MASN Plus, a direct-to-consumer streaming option with no blackouts and with no cable or satellite subscription required. The Nats, O's, and Houston had been the only 3 teams in MLB without direct-to-consumer streaming packages. A very good last few days if you're a Nats fan. The Nats now have won 3 of their last 4 games and now are 10-13 in this regular season. This installment of Nats Chat is brought to us by Window Nation. Call Window Nation 866-90Nation to learn more about the Buy 4 Windows, Get 4 Free offer. Pay nothing until 2027. The offer is good through April 30th. Coming up later in the show, an update on the Nats AAA affiliate, the Rochester Red Wings, from the voice of the Red Wings, Josh Whetzel. But Nats starting pitcher Mitchell Parker was outstanding again. 8 scoreless innings on Tuesday evening. Mark, between that and the Nats piling up the extra base hits, this was quite the win for the Nats in this Game 1 against the O's.
Given what we saw Sunday in Colorado, Al, if you had told me the Nats are going to have 10 extra base hits off the Orioles, I would have thought that's far and away the number one storyline of the night. And I don't think it is. I think it's Mitchell Parker, who was just brilliant in tossing 8 scoreless innings of 1-hit ball. And there's even an argument to be made that he could have come back out for the 9th, and they decided not to push that and do it. But what a performance from, dare I say, the burgeoning number 1 starter on this team, at least based on his performance. 5 starts in, Mitchell Parker is 3-1 with a 1.39 ERA. This has been really something to watch.
He's pitching like a Cy Young candidate. I mean, we understand the sample size is small, but the production has been superb. Parker in this game, 8 scoreless innings. He gave up 1 hit, which was a single, issued 2 walks, recorded 4 strikeouts, pounded the strike zone, 99 pitches, 69 strikes versus just 30 balls, retired the final 17 batters he faced. And I know that the O's are not in a good place right now, but that still is a pretty imposing lineup. Like, you look at those names on paper, you see Gunnar Henderson, you see Jordan Westburg, you see Cedric Mullins, you see some guys who you know can hit. And Parker humbled these guys. Just so impressive. He has been by far the Nats' best starting pitcher so far this season. You mentioned the ERA. The whip is down to 0.93, and he continues to eat up innings, 32 into third innings now over the 5 starts.
He had already surpassed 6 innings in every one of his starts to date, and now he goes all the way to 8 for the first time in his career. And he did that because he was just pounding the strike zone, and they were not making solid contact off him. There's a couple of well-struck balls. I see O'Neill hitting a ball to the warning track and right. There was a nice play by Nasim Nunez at shortstop. But for the most part, you're looking at weak contact all night long. He got ahead in the count. He had them on their heels. This was as much of like a cruise control pitching performance as you can imagine seeing in this day and age. And yes, to do it against that lineup is all the more impressive. And let's also consider the fact that he started his night with a 4-pitch walk of Cedric Mullins. And you're thinking, oh boy, what's in store for him now tonight? And he immediately figured it out, retired the next 3 batters, and just never looked back the rest of the way.
He pitches so far beyond his background in terms of where he was drafted, how he was regarded as a prospect. I mean, it was interesting listening to Davey Martinez during his post-game press conference on Tuesday night, talking about how initially they didn't know what to think about Parker. Maybe he's a reliever.
He worked his tail off to get here, one. When I first saw him, we felt like he had the ability to pitch up here, but we really didn't know whether he was a starter or a reliever.
Here he is now. He was the last guy to make the Nats regular season opening rotation for this season. Here he is now with this sub-2 ERA, this sub-1 whip, by far the Nats' best starting pitcher. It's just amazing where we are versus where we were with Parker.
I was just going to say, let's not forget the fact that he was not guaranteed of a spot in the rotation at the start of spring training and really up until the final couple weeks of spring training. And if DJ Hers doesn't get hurt, if Shinosuke Ogasawara is a little bit better in spring training, there may not even be a spot for Mitchell Parker in the opening day rotation. And now look what he's done for them. He had an okay spring, but it wasn't a great spring by any stretch. He kind of won the job by default, but he keeps exceeding your expectations. I just remember seeing him last year for the first time and thinking, well, this guy doesn't really have the pedigree that you expect of a big league starter, let alone a big-time big league starter. But what he has are nerves of steel, number one. We remember his first career start at Dodger Stadium and how poised he was that night. And he had that stretch of never giving up more than 3 runs in any of his starts. He gives you innings. He keeps the pitch count down. He's managed to limit the walks for the most part. Yeah, defense can be an adventure, although he didn't have to deal with anything in the field in this game. He's really just grown before our eyes. I don't know what the ceiling is. I don't know what he ultimately is going to be, but he's now made, I think, 34 big league starts, and he certainly looks like a quality big league starter.
It's funny, every regular season, there's a Nats starter who gets off to a lights out start. We see it every year. And it just becomes a question of, does he sustain or doesn't he sustain? Inevitably, Parker will come back down to earth at least a little bit. And the question will be, does he get back on track? Does he sustain? I don't think anyone anticipates him finishing with these kind of rate stats for the season, but are we seeing Parker have the kind of step forward season that we have seen some Nats starting pitchers have? And that's what's going to be so interesting. Is he this good? Probably not. But is he a guy who can be a mainstay in the Nats rotation for years to come, who can be someone who season in, season out eats up 150, 160 innings, pitches, to the tune of an ERA in the high 3s, low 4s, maybe better. We're maybe seeing that here right now. He's just been such a pleasant development over the last, year plus at this point.
And I feel like we've made this point a few times over the last year or so, but let's give credit to the organization for all those years of not being able to draft and develop quality in-house players, especially pitchers. You've now got Mitchell Parker and Jake Irvin as a big part of your big league rotation, and there are others who could join them at some point. These were not first-round picks. These are guys who were developed within their system, got to the big leagues and have had success and maybe hit a few bumps along the way, but have figured it out and gotten it back on track. These are organizational wins for an organization that has needed wins as they go through this rebuilding process. I don't think that should be lost on anyone how significant that is.
8 shutout innings on a night on which the Nats did not have their pitching coach, right? No Jim Hickey.
Yeah, he had some kind of minor outpatient procedure is what it was described as. And so he wasn't there. And Sean Doolittle was technically filling in as pitching coach, although I saw Hickey in the clubhouse after the game with a big smile on his face. So he's doing well enough to show up and congratulate Mitchell Parker on a job well done. But yeah, if anyone was wondering when they saw Doolittle walk to the mound for a mound visit, that's why that Jim Hickey technically was not available tonight due to just a minor procedure that he had.
Hey, it's Al Galdi for Window Nation, which has a gift for Nats Chat podcast listeners that's as good as any James Wood home run. 4 free windows for every 4 windows that you buy, and you pay nothing until 2027. This offer is good through April 30th, so hurry. Schedule your free estimate at 866-90Nation or windownation.com and tell Window Nation that you want the deal that you heard about from Al Galdi on the Nats Chat podcast. There's no limit to how much you can save, and if you buy a house full of windows, Window Nation will include a free entry door. Window Nation partners with the top window manufacturers in the nation to build windows to their high-quality specs. Then Window Nation passes the savings on to you. You'll protect your home with some of the best windows that you can buy at a fraction of the price of other brands, and you'll increase the value of your home. 4 free windows for every 4 windows that you buy, and you pay nothing until 2027. The offer is good through April 30th. Call 866-90Nation or visit windownation.com and tell Window Nation that you want the deal that you heard about from Al Galdi on the Nats Chat podcast.
Tim Shovers here to tell you about Babbel. Did you know that the Nats are on the Spanish radio airwaves for the 2nd consecutive season?
Primera y segunda, lanza, compró, el batazo por el lado izquierdo, atrás el dinero, la bola se va, se va, se va, se va, se fue la fruta. Home run, James Wood. 7-0 están ganando los nacionales a los Cardenales de San Luis.
Ellos estaban pidiendo que rompa el hielo y que anote su primer cuadrangular. Por fin ha llegado. Aquí está presente. ¡Woo!
If you want to know what Luciano and Gustavo are saying on the broadcast on calls such as this one, then check out Babbel. And here's their special offer for Nats Chat listeners. 60% off subscriptions at babbel.com/NatsChat. Get up to 60% off at babbel.com/NatsChat. That's spelled BABBEL.com/NatsChat. Babbel.com/NatsChat. Rules and restrictions may apply.
And now, 2 pigeons who can't believe how good humans have it with DirecTV.
These humans are hopping from streaming apps to live sports without batting a wing.
All from the DirecTV home screen.
With just one click, you could be watching a baseball game, a movie on Netflix,
or a critically acclaimed documentary.
You watch documentaries?
I love the ones that leave you with a question.
What?
Exactly.
DirecTV, a better way to watch whatever you want to watch. Visit DirecTV.com. Internet connected Gemini device, separate Netflix membership, and additional paid subscriptions required for third-party apps. Restrictions apply.
Kramer sets, and he throws. And a swing and a shot up the middle. That's going to be through for a base hit into right center field. Garcia being waved home, and he will score. Nats lead 5-0. Keibert Ruiz delivers an RBI single. His second hit of the night, his 12th RBI of the season. And the Nationals, with 3 hits in the inning, have added 2 runs to their lead.
So Mitchell Parker on Tuesday evening was great, and the Nats offense in this 7-0 win over the O's on Tuesday evening was great, and in an especially great way. The Nats had 7 runs on 14 hits, drew no walks, only went 3 for 16 with runners in scoring position, but the 14 hits were comprised of 2 homers, a triple, 7 doubles and 4 singles. 10 of the 14 hits were extra base hits. The Nats pounded the Orioles starting pitcher in this game, Dean Kremer. The 2 homers came from Nathaniel Lowe and Dylan Crews. Lowe as the Nats starting first baseman and number 2 batter, 1 for 4 with a 2-run homer. Did strike out 3 times, but he and the Nats 2-run first. Had a 2-run homer on a bomb to right for a 2-0 Nats lead. The homer went a projected 411 feet per Statcast. And Cruz, he is the Nats starting right fielder and number 6 batter, went 1 for 4 with a solo homer. He and the Nats 1-run 6 had a leadoff homer to center for a 6-0 Nats lead. That homer went a projected 429 feet per Statcast. There were so many offensive standouts in this game, but just with the guys who hit the homers, Lowe continues to be such a steadying presence. Great to see the Nats score early in this game, and Dylan Crews is heating up. Isn't that nice to see?
It is absolutely nice to see, and that's a 7-game hitting streak, 3 homers in his last 4 games, and these haven't been cheapies. He's hitting them with authority to the gaps, a great sign as well. It's so important for him to get off now on some kind of a run that he can maybe sustain for a little while. But I mean, this was everyone, and I think back to that wild weekend in Colorado where they were all over Chase Dollander on Saturday and then couldn't do anything on Sunday. 0 extra base hits in 18 innings of baseball at Coors Field. And then to come back and have 10 extra base hits in their first game of this homestand. I do feel like we see sometimes this lineup, they either figure the opposing starter out and have a big night, or they don't and they can't get it along the way. They clearly had Dean Kremer because there was solid contact from the very beginning, and they sustained it throughout this game.
Yes, and look, the Nats, these last few series have faced teams with bad starting pitching. A big-time test is coming up with this 4-game wraparound series against the Mets, who have superb pitching so far. So that's going to be a really good test of how good this offense is. But, you look at the Nats, 25 homers over 23 games. So they are on that pace of averaging more than a homer per game. That's all they have to do to really up the home run production. If the Nats can just do that and finish the regular season with, say, 162, 165 homers, that's a big-time improvement from where they've been at in recent years. And so far, they are on that pace. So Lowe homered, Cruz homered. We had 3 different Nats, each with 3 hits in this game. James Wood, Keibert Ruiz, and Jose Tena. Wood on his bobblehead night as the Nats starting left fielder and number 1 batter, 3 for 5 with 2 doubles and a single. And the single was especially impressive, I thought. A 2-out full count opposite field infield single to the left side of the infield in the bottom of the second. He beat the throw of one of the better defensive shortstops in the majors, Gunnar Henderson. But Wood in that Nats 2-run first, leadoff opposite field double to left field on a 1-2 pitch. Wood in a Nats 2-run fifth, leadoff full count opposite field double off the left field wall. Keibert Ruiz, he is the Nats starting catcher and number 4 batter, 3 for 4 with an RBI double, another double, and an RBI single. And Jose Tena piling up the bases in this game. He is the Nats starting third baseman and number 7 batter, 3 for 4 with a triple and 2 doubles. Tena in the Nats 1-run second, leadoff opposite field triple to left despite having been down at 1.02, and he then scored on a wild pitch. Tena in the bottom of the 4th, a 1-out double off the right field wall despite having been down at 1.02, and Tena in the bottom of the 8th, leadoff opposite field double to left field. What a performance by Jose Tena.
And he has not played much this year. He's been on the roster since opening day and just hasn't had that many opportunities. Well, he may start getting them now. With Paul DeJong on the IL, Davey Martinez said before the game that he's starting to think of this as maybe a platoon situation, Tena versus righties and Ahmed Rosario versus lefties. And obviously, if he keeps this up, what he did in this game, he's going to get a whole lot more opportunities. He also made nice defensive play up against the screen, chasing down a fly ball of foul territory. We know that the issue with him really is, can he play third base at a competent level, having not really played it at any level until he was called up late last season. So that's even more important, I think, than the offense. But to be able to put together 3 good quality at bats, run the bases well like he did, score on that wild pitch, that was a big night for a guy who probably needed to make the most of this opportunity to make sure that he's going to get more opportunities now in the future.
So we have our update on the Nats AAA affiliate, the Rochester Red Wings, coming up later in the show, courtesy of Josh Whetzel. We know the deal at third base. We're all kind of just waiting for Brady House. House is doing well for Rochester as we are recording this installment of the podcast. OPS of 831 on the season for the Red Wings. So, look, I think we learned a lesson last year with James Wood and especially Dylan Crews. You kind of throw your hands up in terms of trying to predict and project when these well-regarded prospects will be called up to the majors. But it is worth noting, House is doing well, and he keeps doing this well. You got to think that he'll be up at some point, maybe before the All-Star break. I mean, there I go trying to predict and project. But, we talk about the third base situation. DeYoung, Tena, it may not really matter after, a few more weeks or at most months.
Yeah, it's absolutely fair to say that. First off, it's just important that Brady House is getting off to a good start to the season. He needed that. The organization needed that. And now he just needs to keep it going and, force the issue, essentially. I think it's a similar situation to James Wood in particular, where they're going to say, show us you can have success and sustain it for a good length of time. And then when we believe you're ready, you come up and you're here to stay. You don't want to do that, before he's totally ready. You don't want to do it because you have a need at third base or a lack of production at third base, even though as a team, they really have gotten very little out of that position so far. So far, so good. Keep it going. In my mind, I'm looking at no sooner than June 1st. And if he's really tearing it up and playing great defense, which sounds like he is, and he's still doing that by the time we get to June, maybe we start having that conversation. It could be later. Like you said, it could be July, somewhere in that range. But they need to see him continue it. It's not going to happen just because of a good, 3 weeks to start the season.
And I do want to note the continued production from James Wood. He is the Nats' leading OPS man for the regular season, 902. He is going the opposite way a ton, which is like always the sign of someone who knows how to hit. He just looks so comfortable up there. I just can't say enough good things about what we're seeing from James Wood. I mean, Lowe has been the steady Eddie. It's been really good to see Keibert Ruiz do as he has done, but James Wood has been this team's best batter, and it's actually not that close.
And the 3 hits, all opposite field, like you said, they all left the bat at least 107 miles an hour. So there's nothing cheap about these opposite field hits that he's delivering. He hits the ball with authority all the time. And it's just great to see. It's great to see when you have this idea in your mind of the player you think he's going to be, and he's becoming that player right before our eyes and doing it still at a very young age and a low level of experience. It's such a treat to watch. You hope he keeps it going. And as I think we discussed the other day, it will be interesting how Davey handles this when CJ Abrams comes back. Do you put Abrams right back in the leadoff spot, or do you look at Wood and say, boy, it's working. Let's not mess with success here. My hunch is he still moves him down a spot and has him bat second, but you never know. He keeps it up. You may not want to tinker with that.
The other thing with Wood is this. So what tends to be the case, it's not always the case, but what tends to be the case is that the guys who are like superstars, like really, truly special hitters, they're great from the get-go, or at the very least, they're really good from the get-go. Like you think about Juan Soto, really good from the get-go. Bryce Harper, really good from the get-go. Yes, there are some guys who struggle and then develop over a season or 2 or 3, but by and large, like if you're special, we see that right away. And we're seeing that with James Wood. Like that to me is what is especially exciting about this. He was good last season. He now is even better this season. Remember, the nit to pick with last season was that he wasn't hitting for much power. So much for that. I mean, he's hitting for plenty of power this season. And just every sign that you would want of, is he special offensively? Because that's the thing. James Wood, Dylan Crews, they're not here to be good. They're here to be great. They're here to be special. We will see with Crews. But I think with Wood, every indication right now is that we're seeing someone who is going to be special. And that is just so exciting.
Agreed. And yeah, think about that first month or so when he was up and it was, he hits too many ground balls. He can't get anything in the air. Oh, he's hitting them in the air now, and he's hitting them with authority. And yeah, I agree. I mean, there may be some examples, I'm not thinking of them off the top of my head, of a highly touted prospect who comes up and is gangbusters right away and then falls apart. It's pretty rare, though. If you are this good this early on, chances are this is who you're going to be in the long haul, maybe even getting better with more experience. The sky is absolutely the limit for this kid as an offensive player. And, we'll see what happens defensively, but that's not really important right now. This guy rakes like hardly anybody else in the league does.
And you mentioned Abrams. He was playing for AA Harrisburg on Tuesday night, right?
Yeah, made his rehab start, the start of rehab assignment with Harrisburg, played 6 innings in the field, took 3 plate appearances, 2 walks. That's a good sign. And a strikeout, didn't put anything into play. We'll find out, more importantly, how he felt physically with his hip. It sounded like if it really went well, maybe they would consider bringing him up after 1 game. I'm going to guess that they'd probably rather have him go another one and maybe build beyond the 6 innings, see how he does on the bases, see how he does in the field. So maybe we see him by Thursday against the Orioles, or maybe they're holding him off for the weekend. But it's a matter of days now with him. We should be seeing him very soon.
LinkedIn Jobs is here to help small business owners with that crucial step of making the right hires. LinkedIn makes it easy to post your job for free, share it with your network, and get qualified candidates you can manage all in one place. Here's how it works. Simply post your job, and LinkedIn's new feature can help you write job descriptions and then quickly get your job in front of the right people with deep candidate insights. You can either post your job for free or pay to promote it, and promoted jobs get 3 times more qualified candidates. Find out why more than 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring today. Find your next great hire on LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/natschat. That's linkedin.com/natschat to post your job for free. LinkedIn.com/natschat. Terms and conditions apply.
And now, 2 pigeons bemoaning the fact you can choose the TV you want with DirecTV.
So now they can pick out their favorite entertainment when they sign up and save money?
You mean if you like sports?
You can get a sports pack.
What about entertainment?
Entertainment pack.
It's like finding an old pizza with your favorite toppings, which for me would be pineapple and toenails.
Pineapple?
Pay for the TV you want, not the TV you don't. Genre pack starting at $34.99 a month. Visit DirecTV.com for more information. New residential customers only. Local channels vary by market. Services renew monthly unless you cancel online. Credit card required. Restrictions apply.
Here's the set, and the 3-2 on the way, and he walked him low and inside. We've mentioned Colin Poche's reputation as a strike thrower. Last season, Poche issued 13 walks the entire season. That was his 12th walk on the heels of his 11th walk. And for the first time in Sean Doolittle's career, he's going to make a mound visit.
Well, this Nats 7-0 win over the Orioles on Tuesday evening would not be a proper 2025 Nationals game without something to complain about with the Nats bullpen. And sure enough, we do have something. It's not a big something, but it is a something. 2 Nats relievers combined for 1 scoreless inning. Colin Poche came into the game in the top of the 9th to begin that inning. Nats were up 7-0. The idea clearly was for him to close out the game. He did not close out the game. He faced 3 batters, got just 1 out. He walked each of the first 2 batters he faced as the Colin Poche struggles with the walk continued. Cole Henry did come in and slam the door shut. He, in the top of the 9th, faced 2 batters, generated 2 swinging strikeouts to end the game. But Davey Martinez had to use multiple relievers to end the game with the Nats up 7-0. That's obviously not ideal. And with Colin Poche, honestly, I'm feeling sorry for the guy. It's painful to watch him pitch. It is seemingly walk after walk. And, you know, when he came in to close out that game, if you've watched this team this season, I don't know how you had much faith in him closing out the game. And sure enough, he didn't do that.
Well, and the telltale sign is that he walks the leadoff batter and Davey immediately gets Cole Henry up and warming in the bullpen. And you knew unless he can end the game with a double play, he's not going to face more than the minimum 3 batters. So, I mean, the leash was incredibly short for him. It's tough to watch, and it's not who he's been in his career. If he was getting hit, you might understand it a little bit more. He has not been this kind of guy who has that kind of poor command at all. And I don't know why it's happening. It might be a case of once things start going downhill, he can't stop that and it just snowballs on it. I'll be interested to see how they approach this. As you've pointed out, he was brought in on a minor league contract and he's still making, I think, about 1.4, 1.5 million once he made the team. So this isn't the kind of thing the Nats typically just eat that kind of salary this soon, but you got to reach a point where you're wondering what in the world is going to fix this and how many more times can you go to this well and expect the results to be different. It's tough for everyone to watch. And I think at minimum, you're going to see that high leverage spots aren't afforded to him anymore. And I know 7-0 isn't exactly high leverage, but maybe down 7-0 instead of up 7-0 is the next time we're going to see him.
Well, you wonder if he's going to get the Tanner Rainey treatment of he's still on the team, but the Nats just don't use him. The other thing is this. I mean, if you as a ball club can't cut ties with a reliever on a minor league contract for salary purposes, like what exactly are we doing here? Okay. I mean, he was signed to a minor league contract. The salary is a little more than $1 million. Like, you can't eat that as a team, really? Like, that's where we're at this point with the ownership. Something else, too, I was thinking about with this Nats bullpen, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this. It's the worst bullpen in baseball. We all would agree on that. The only roster move the Nats have made with the bullpen since the start of the regular season is putting Orlando Revolta on the 15-day injured list. The Nats have not optioned a single reliever to the minors. The Nats have not DFA'd a single reliever. That is stunning. Most teams are constantly making moves with their bullpen, even if the bullpen is good, right? This guy gets optioned. This guy gets brought back up. This guy goes on an injured list. This guy maybe gets DFA'd. This guy got claimed off waivers. The Nats don't do anything with this bullpen. It's just remarkable to me. It is status quo every day, despite the results being so bad. And it's just so unique in addition to being so baffling, considering the lack of good results.
Yeah, and I think it speaks more than anything to the lack of good options at AAA and AA. If they had somebody, especially on the 40-man roster, I think they would have already made some kind of move at this point, even if it was, optioning Eduardo Salazar after a couple of those ugly games and bringing up someone else. They just don't have that other person. One name to maybe keep an eye on, and I don't think you should get too excited about this, but the only other lefty out there is Konnor Pilkington at AAA. He has a tiny bit of big league experience with some other teams. If they did decide to move on from Poche, that would probably be the move, to have a second lefty. But there's just not that much else to cling to. I think the only other things to keep an eye out for, Zach Brixey has been on a rehab assignment. They could make that move once they believe he's ready, but this is not somebody with really any substantial big league track record. He was called up in September, didn't look all that great. And the other thing to watch is Michael Soroka, who did make the rehab start for Harrisburg and went, I think, 2 2/3, 40-something pitches, gave up a 2-run homer. He's not ready yet. He's going to need to make at least 1, if not 2 more rehab starts. But if and when that happens and he is ready to return, you could see him back in the rotation and Brad Lord move back to the bullpen. So that would be one path to make a transaction to move there. But you're right. It is pretty astounding that 23 games in, when you're talking about a bullpen that has performed as poorly as this one has, that it's not like there's a reshuffling of the deck. They haven't even come close to doing that yet.
Game 2 for the Nats against the O's at Nationals Park Wednesday evening at 6:45. Trevor Williams will be the Nats starting pitcher. Tomoyuki Sagano will be the Orioles starting pitcher. You tell us what you think. Hit us up on X at Nats_chat. You can find us on Blue Sky at Nats Chat Podcast. You can email the show, natschatpodcast@gmail.com. This installment of Nats Chat brought to us by Window Nation. Call Window Nation 866-90Nation to learn more about the Buy 4 Windows, Get 4 Windows free offer. You pay nothing until 2027, and the offer is good now through April 30th. All Nationals radio highlights on Nats Chat are courtesy of 106.7 The Fan. For Mark Zuckerman, I'm Al Galdi. We'll talk to you next time on the Nats Chat podcast, and we'll leave you now with an update on the Nats AAA affiliate, the Rochester Red Wings, from the voice of the Red Wings, Josh Whetzel.
Here it comes. House clobbers a high drive the other way to right center field. Out near the wall. This is gone. House homers again, this time to right center. 12-1 Red Wings. That was a fastball up, out over the plate, and House tomahawked it. Now, the Red Wings are coming off a tough homestand that saw them lose 5 of 6 games to a very good Worcester Red Sox team. That includes getting no hit on Thursday in Game 1 of a doubleheader when 3 Worcester pitchers combined to no-hit the Red Wings. However, there have been some players lately that have been swinging the bats pretty well, highlighted most notably by Brady House, the former Nationals first-round pick. Went 4 for 5 on Saturday with a pair of home runs, 2 of 4 homers in that game for the Red Wings. The Wings' third baseman House is hitting .296 on the year with 3 home runs. That ties with Andrew Pinckney for the team lead. His OPS is .852. And catcher Drew Millis continues a pretty good start to the season, batting .305. Most of his hits lately have been singles, 1 home run, 3 doubles, and a league-leading 3 triples for Millis, an OPS of .872 for Millis so far this year. His backup catcher Andrew Knizner is off to a very good start. The former Cardinal 9 for 22 in the year with 9 walks and an on-base percentage at the moment of nearly .620. Robert Hassel's cooled off a little bit. The Red Wing center fielder is 2 for his last 24, batting average at .232, and the Wings are still hoping for guys like Darren Baker and Juan Yepez to get going. Baker at the moment just hitting .170 and Yepez only .172. On the pitching front, Jack Sinclair had a couple of rough outings early, but the right-hander out of the University of Central Florida has only allowed 1 earned run over his last 6 innings. He has struck out 8 batters in that time. And lefty Konnor Pilkington, the former Cleveland Guardian, has really been pitching well. He has 5 straight appearances without allowing an earned run. And Thursday in Game 2 of that doubleheader against Worcester, facing a very good Worcester lineup, he pitched 3 hitless innings with 7 strikeouts, including 6 straight. Pilkington has 15 strikeouts and 9 innings of work so far this season. This is Josh Whetzel with the Rochester Red Wings update.
Check of the runners, the left-hander deals. Fastball popped up, fouled off third. Tena chasing onto the warning track, may have a play. He's there. He reaches out and he makes the catch with his glove right up against the screen, and the inning is over. Nice play by Jose Tena. Was in against the left-handed hitter, had a ways to go, and runs that one down to end the inning.
Imagine what's possible in your business career when learning doesn't get in the way of life. At Capella University, our game-changing FlexPath learning format is available in select business programs and lets you learn at a time and pace that works for you. That means you don't have to put your life on hold while earning your business degree. Instead, enjoy learning your way and earn your degree without missing a beat. A different future is closer than you think with Capella University. Learn more at capella.edu.